In this video, I'm going to explain to you guys a few things you should know and also give you a few tips about the island of Puerto Rico. I spent about 1 month here, and so I learned some things and I want to share them with you guys. So when you come, you're better prepared, certain things don't catch you off guard, and you have an idea of what to expect. This first point was a little confusing for me in the beginning because I knew Puerto Rico was tied to the US in a way, but at the same time I thought it was its own independent country because that's how it comes across. But from what I understand now, Puerto Rico is an unincorporated territory of the US. And I believe with that status, Puerto Rico is not a state like Alaska and Hawaii, but then it's not its own independent country. It's somewhere in the middle. But at the end of the day, it's tied to the US, and because of this, as a US citizen, you're able to travel there as if you were traveling from state to state. For example, if you want to travel from Chicago to San Juan, Puerto Rico, you don't need your passport. You can simply use your driver's license. Your cell phone service should work there. Verizon, AT&T. I've heard even the smaller companies work there like Cricket and Metro. Also, the outlets and voltages are practically the same. So you don't have to worry about buying a travel adapter or a converter. Another point is that many people speak English there. So if you want to travel to this part of the Caribbean, but your Spanish is not the greatest, well, in Puerto Rico, you don't have to worry about that. The language barrier will not be that much of a problem. And lastly, you don't need an international driver's license. You can use your US driver's license. So I think you guys get the picture. It's basically similar to traveling from state to state. And since I brought up rental vehicles, let me touch on that for a quick second. Both times worked out well, but there are some things you need to keep in mind. If you're going with a major company, like Hertz, I went with Alamo, which from what I saw had the best reviews on the whole island. It's gonna be more expensive, but then at the same time, the process is usually quicker, more efficient. There are rarely any hidden fees, and they're a reputable brand. On the flip side, if you go with one of these budget rental companies, keep in mind it's no different than booking with a budget airline. The price that you see online is usually not the final price. With airlines, if you want to bring a bag on, extra fee. You want to wear a seatbelt, extra fee. You want to look out the window, extra fee. It's no different with these rental companies. For example, if you plan on using a third-party website, Expedia.com, Kayak, Travelocity, to reserve a vehicle, and you see that super affordable price, the major companies are charging $1,000, and then you have this smaller off-brand company offering, $400. Understand that there's probably some extra fees that aren't listed on that site. So my advice to you is to book directly with the rental company, or at least go to their site to read about the extra fees, because they usually list them. I went with a company called Charlie's Rent-A-Car or Charlie's Rental Company. However, I noticed they had a lot of negative reviews about hidden fees. So what I did was I went directly to their site. I read the fees. I chose the ones that applied to my situation and still reserved a car with them because the final price was still way more affordable than some of the other brands. And it worked out in the end. The car I got was basically brand new. I loved it. So that's my advice to you. Go directly to the site to see if there are any extra hidden fees. The next thing you should know is that the beaches in Puerto Rico are public. They're all public, open to everyone. So you don't have to book a room in a resort in order to take advantage of a certain part of the beach. It's not like in other countries where they have it like coned off or roped off. And if you accidentally walk too far, you get tackled by a security guard or you need a wristband from one of the resorts. That's not the case. And since we're on the topic of beaches, there's one of them that I want to specifically touch on. And it's called Flamenco Beach. If you're watching this, chances are this is probably on your itinerary. So the main tip about this place is that it's on an island off of Puerto Rico. And so you can fly there if you want, but from what I understand, they only leave on certain days, certain times, and they're usually more expensive. So most people opt to take a ferry. The problem with that is usually the online tickets are always sold out, weeks if not months in advance. The good thing, however, is that they have tickets for sale in person. So my advice to you all is that the day that you arrive, once you have your rental vehicle, drive down to the ferry. It's only an hour away and book your ticket. Because if you try to wait to the last minute, most likely they may not have any tickets available, which is what happened to me. Online, it said they had around 30 tickets available. I drove down there, all sold out. I had to book for the following week. But you guys won't see any videos of this place because, yeah, I missed it. I got my dates mixed up. It was for Saturday, and I thought it was for Sunday. So, yeah, that was a bummer. But that just means I have to go back to Puerto Rico. Keeping it going, the next thing I want to touch on is the water and power outages. Now, I will say, my whole time on the island, I did not experience any of these. However, from what people are telling me, this is a common thing. And so I went and spoke to my host about this, and he was telling me that they do have water and power outages here. However, it's not all year. It's usually a specific time during the year. Then he was telling me how they'll shut off the water for certain hours of the day, I guess to preserve it, if the water levels at the dam reach a certain point, something like that. And then also the power can go off from time to time. This was all surprising because, again, everything worked well for me. But I will say, if you're staying at a reputable hotel, resort, a modern accommodation, most likely the place will probably have a generator. But if you're trying to save a couple bucks and you're staying at a budget spot, you're booking a random place on Airbnb, you might want to just double check and verify if the place has a generator. And also read the reviews to see if anyone else had problems with power outages and water being turned off. And last but not least, this final point is one you don't necessarily need to know, but I thought it was very interesting to find out. Before visiting Puerto Rico, I always believed that their flag was modeled after the flag of the United States of America. Because if you look at it, both have the red and white stripes. Both have their stars on the left side of the flag. Instead of a square like the US, Puerto Rico has the triangle. And plus, this is a territory right now. So it all makes sense. Come to find out, the flag of Puerto Rico was actually inspired by a different country. And I'm gonna put their flag up on the screen right now. And here it goes right here. As you can see, they look practically identical. The main difference, the colors are inverted. And for some of you guys who couldn't figure it out yet, I'll give you one hint. It's from another Caribbean country that's nearby, okay? If you still haven't figured it out, the flag of Puerto Rico was inspired by the flag of Cuba. Now, I'll let the historians get into all the minor details, but from what I understand is that Cuba and Puerto Rico have a shared history when it comes to their goal for independence. I believe revolutionists from both islands were working together. And so the flag of Puerto Rico was modeled after the flag of Cuba. To me, it seemed like doing that, it was a sign of unity between both islands for their, struggle for independence. Additionally, when you're on the island, you may notice that you'll see some Puerto Rican flags where the color of the triangle is a different shade of blue. I think it started out as a lighter blue, and then they changed it to a darker version, and then they changed it again to like another type of blue. And I'm sure each change probably has a story behind it, which I'm not gonna get into because I don't know too much about that. But I just thought all of that was interesting. I never would have thought that. But with all that being said, these are just a few things that you should know, few things to keep in mind. I also have other videos giving some tips and recommendations and my thoughts on the place. So definitely check those out. I'm gonna go ahead and end it right here. I hope you guys learned a little bit more about this island. Maybe like myself, there were some things you thought or didn't really know. And so I'm hoping this video has shed some light on those. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you liked it. And I'm gonna catch you guys at the next one. Deuces.